Every story needs some comedy. If the story is intense, it definitely does, as a story with no comic relief doesn't work well. There is a story of a production of Othello done at a college. The director wanted to do it in a one act, so he cut out all the comedy. It was so intense that the audience laughed when Othello killed Desdemona. When something is too intense, it doesn't get the reaction wanted, as the reader will be relieved at the horrible event that is anticipated. Thus, comedy is needed. In fact, interspersing comedy into an intense book will up the intensity, not lessen it. When comedy and intensity are interspersed, it makes the intensity more intense and the comedy more funny. So, what do you need to know to write comic characters? First, comic characters do not see themselves as funny. They are funny because of something about them. But when they are saying or doing something funny, it is generally serious to them. This is particularly true with airheads. Stupid people do not know they are stupid. That's what makes them stupid. Second, don't try to put jokes into your books. Comedy comes from interesting characters and their interactions with each other. When I wrote Rejected, my children each came up with characters that were rejected to be in the story. One of my sons came up with an edgelord nightcrawler whose solution to everything was shoot it. My daughter had her children design a character for a kid's book, so it was a girl named Princess Cupcake with two sets of wings, a unicorn horn, cat ears, horse legs, and a mermaid tail. She has children's book magic and is positive about everything. Imagine the interplay between the two of those characters. It's fun. Mix those two with the melodramatic villain, a damsel in distress, a fantasy mage, and a character from a grimdark who I won't give details about because it would be a spoiler, and there is some fun stuff that happens. Some intense stuff too. There is no cookbook method of writing something funny, but I will go over some elements of humor. Incongruity. When things don't match as they should with their surroundings, it is incongruity, and people often find it funny. Children love incongruity. Some examples are a tough fighter who likes to cross-stitch, a berserker who is a pacifist, and a biker gang guy who is doing a singing telegram. Inversion. This is a type of surprise, but it is set up to go one way and then has a comic twist. For example, Rodney Dangerfield made the joke, "I told my psychiatrist that everyone hates me. He said I was being ridiculous. Everyone hasn't met me yet." Here's one by Groucho Marx. "One morning I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got into my pajamas, I'll never know." Irony. Irony is when something is funny because it would seem surprising to have it done by the person or in the situation. What appears to be the case on the surface is not what it actually is. For example, a street sign that says, "Blind persons cross here." A notice that the procrastinators' meeting has been postponed. Or the words "nothing is written in stone," chiseled into stone. A statement like, "I bought a book on improving my memory, but I only read half of it because I forgot where I put it," is ironic. A sign saying "literacy night at school is too." Note the spelling. So is a cop getting a speeding ticket. Satire. Satire is using humor to make fun of human stupidity or situations. For example, statements like, "Cooking timers are overrated. That's what smoke alarms are for." Or, "My roommate is such a bad cook that pest control companies ask for his recipes." Many stand-up comedians use satire. Slapstick comedy, which is physical humor. This gets its name from the slapsticks used backstage to make sound effects for hits on stage. I'm not personally big on slapstick humor, but at times it can be done well, such as George of the Jungle hitting the tree, or knocking Norse gods out of the frame in The Avengers. repetition, a running gag. These tend to be situational and not funny out of context, but can be very good in your story if not overused. For example, George of the Jungle hitting the tree, or Vicini from The Princess Bride saying inconceivable. He kept using that word, but I do not think it means what he thinks it means. Puns. A pun is a play on words. For example, yesterday a clown held the door open for me. It was such a nice gesture. Or, becoming a vegetarian is a big mistake. Hyperbole, which is exaggeration. For example, it's so cold the polar bears are wearing coats. Understatement is minimizing something. This is the key ingredient to dry deadpan humor. For example, a character getting wounded and poisoned and responding with, well, that's unfortunate. Or a character winning a fight and when asked how it went, responding, it could have been worse. Or a dad coming in from the shop with blood all over his hand and when the wife panics saying, it's only a scratch. Or someone steps in the middle of a yelling argument and says, I'm sensing some tension between you two. Or a doctor saying, both of your legs are broken, expect to be sore for a while. Not everyone has the same sense of humor. My humor is very dry, so I like understatement and irony. Other people prefer slapstick and puns. As an author, it's good to learn to write all types of characters. I don't like puns, but I have written characters who love them and use them often. Again, don't try to fit jokes in. Sure, if a character would tell a joke, of course let him, but the real humor comes from interesting characters and their interplay with each other. Likely, all the examples I used before didn't make you laugh. You've probably heard them before. But you haven't heard the banter between characters in my stories before. One last bit of advice. Don't put a character in just for comic relief. That tends to fail, like Jar Jar Binks. Comic characters can add a great deal to the story, much more than just being there for comedy. So integrate them into the story. Does understanding humor help in life? Well, are you funny? Do you want to be? Humor is a very good tool to have in your toolbox for life because it can really help to lighten a tense situation or help people enjoy a situation more. That wraps up my video on comedy. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Tell me your favorite joke.